Shabbat Shalom and good morning. Glory and honor to the Father Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the creator and master of righteousness and truth, the God and Father of Messiah, Yahweh Shah, who, as the Son of Man and the Son of the Most High Yah, is the offering for sin of his people, and through his people, the offering for sin of the earth, the atonement for sin, and the high priest of his people, and the soon returning king, given planet earth from the Father as his kingdom. Glory and honor to Father Yahweh. Glory and honor to Messiah, Yahweh Shah. Greetings to the 12 tribes scattered into the four corners of the earth, according to the word of the Father, who also, according to the word of the Father, are awakening to who they are and who their God is. Greetings to the 144,000 who are the forerunners of the return of Messiah and the aforementioned establishment of the Messianic kingdom. Greetings to the children of Shem, Ham, and Yafet that are not of the bloodline, but through the blood of the Hebrew Messiah and through his people have received the truth of the Father's perfect righteousness and are now part of the family. Greetings. Greetings to the chat, Brother Castle King, Superstar Hebrew is Wanda, Brother Naviska 23, Gary Joseph, Isha Shama, and Frankie, Brother Diamond Holdings, Brother Francis, Sister Psalm 119, Brother Lonnie and Sister Joyce, Brother Stephen Kelly, Brother Akawamba, and Yah. Greetings to all of you and everyone else who I may not have mentioned. Greetings to all of you. We're in Matthew chapter 17. We're at the end of Matthew 17, and we're getting ready to go into Matthew 18, but we still have a very important part to look at in Matthew chapter 17. Let's start there, and then we'll expound from there. Instead of usually we expound and then go back to it, but let's start with Matthew 17, and let's expound from it by the grace of the Father Yah, for the glory of his name and the strengthening power and spirit of his people. Praise the Most High. So we finished off in chapter 17 when Messiah made the declaration again. Was the first time he said to his disciples this thing, but he says it again here in chapter 17, verse 22 and 23. And while they abode in Galilee, Yahweh Shah said unto them, the Son of Man shall be betrayed into the hands of men, and they shall kill him. And the third day he shall be raised again. And they were exceeding sorry. This is not the first time he said that to them. And again, brethren, with the same with us, I found with myself many times the Father has shown me things that were going to come into my life, and I didn't receive them. And when those things came, I could look back and see where he was trying to tell me, and I hadn't received it. And my lack of the reception made those things harder than they needed to be, because the Father doesn't reveal things to us ahead of time for our hurt. He reveals it for our preparation and our learning, right? But oftentimes, hey, Brother Yakoba, glad to see you, Shabbat Shalom, and Brother Stephen Kelly. He reveals it to us for our learning, for our preparation, all things that he gives us, whether it's in the prophetic utterance of the word or in dreams and visions about ourselves, are for our learning, for our preparation, for our growth. And myself, like many other people, would not receive things that appeared to be negative that were coming at me later. He showed me ahead of time they were coming. And my lack of receiving what he was trying to tell me made it more painful when those things did come. And they did come. Looking back on it, when I receive something now, my first thought is, okay, where did I do wrong? and I seek to correct or to heed what he's trying to show me or warn me about ahead of time before the thing happens. He tries to warn us. Messiah gave the disciples several warnings about what was coming. And instead of asking him about that, what do you mean by that? Or where's that in the scriptures? Or what's going to happen? They just were sorry because it went against the grand illusions that they had for Messiah himself and what they had been taught by the religious leaders about Messiah. So the things Messiah was talking about in terms of being sent to the Gentiles to be put to death, to be rejected by the religious leaders, went against what they were hoping for, even though he was trying to tell them. And brethren, it's really the same right now on the worldwide basis. People have these false illusions and false prophecies and false expectations about what they think the world is headed to. But very plainly, we can understand the world is about to be destroyed. The whole system that we live in is about to be destroyed and turned upside down. And the people that controlled it and built it are about to be judged eternally. Now, for just saying that, what I just said, it creates enemies. Because one of the things we know, although the Father tells us the truth, the world is based in lies. And they prefer some form of lie. But we who have been touched by the Spirit of the Father, one of the results of that is that we seek truth. Even if it spanks us, as I just alluded, even if it spanks us, we receive it. See? So one time, the Father showed me a series of events in a dream that were going to take place just ahead of me in my life. And I was trying my best to figure out how it was going to be positive because what he showed me was a severe spanking. He showed me at the end I would get peace. He showed me at the end it would be for my benefit. But during the course of it was a fight for my life. It was my spiritual life. And I didn't want to receive it. And we definitely went through it hard. And at the end, I did come out and were blessed by it. But if I had just in the beginning come to the Father and said, okay, Father, you're right, I'm messing up. Please show me what I need to do. Maybe I could have avoided that problem, but he knew I wouldn't do that because I am a stiff-necked Hebrew. So I had to go through it. At the end, I received the learning that he was intended to give me, the humbling that he had to put me through at that time. Not that was the last time, but that was one of the times. And so with the world, though, they refuse to receive it. Even when they're going through it, they will not receive it. At the end of the day, they will not receive truth. They will not acknowledge the Father, nor give him the glory. And that's why, one of the reasons why most of them are going to be lost. Because they want their own ideas, their own thoughts, their own grand illusions of what they want instead of what the Father wants. You know, brethren, my wife and I were discussing this morning. When we used to read the Bible back in the day, I used to read the Bible with certain assumptions. And, you know, I realized my assumptions hindered me. For example, I would read the Bible with the assumption that Christianity was the truth. That's how I started reading. My automatic assumption was this book is about Christianity. This is where Christianity comes from, and Christianity is the truth. So now when I'm looking at it, it's with the eyes of one who is fitting everything into Christianity. And many things I didn't understand because I was making a wrong assumption to start my reading. It wasn't until I was in New Hampshire for 5 years and I got chastised by the Northern New England Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. I was chastised because, in their words, I was teaching things that the church didn't believe, and that, too, Ellen White, and this was their words, not mine, the church didn't believe, and Ellen White never taught. In my meetings, and there were several with them, I met face-to-face with the conference president, and the conference president called conference presidents of several other conferences about me. and receive reports, mostly negative, about me. And he and the conference treasurer and then conference, another guy, there were three of them, was sitting before me and explaining to me what he, in his words, said, we may have to part company with you. And what it caused me to do, because at that time, when that was happening, I was on my second or third reading of the Bible. And at that time, what that sparked was, I need to know what I believed. It caused me to say, what do you believe? What do you really believe? And where are you getting it from? So I prayed, because one thing I knew is that there was a Heavenly Father and I could go to him. So I prayed. And he impressed me. Read your Bible. Keep reading your Bible, as I'm telling you all. And whatever's true, prove it from the Bible. If it's not proven from the Bible, whether it's Ellen White or whoever, kick it aside. A little scary for me, a fourth generation Seventh-day Adventist, whose family went back in the SDA church from the 1890s. It's a little scary. But truth was more important to me than my family history. So I did it. I started, and it was, even though I had already read the Bible like 2 times, let's say, maybe 3, I read it different now. And this changed everything. I want to tell you the important point here. I no longer read the Bible. At that time, I read the Bible with the understanding that the SDA church was the remnant church. When I opened the Bible, that's my thought. I'm reading this because the SDA church is the remnant church, and everything I'm looking for is going to substantiate and strengthen that truth. No, now I was looking at it saying, okay, Father, what do you want to teach me in your word about what is true and what is not? So now when I'm reading it, at that point, when I was reading it with the understanding that there is a truth and that this book is the yardstick, the measuring stick of what is truth. That was my mindset. And so now, based on that, I needed the Father to teach me his truth from his yardstick, whatever it was. And I was ready to toss aside whatever didn't agree with that. And brethren, that next year, a lot of stuff was changing. At that moment, when I went through that next year, I made the declaration first to my wife and my children. I'm no longer a Seventh-day Adventist. That was the first year after that, maybe the third time reading the Bible. I said, okay, I'm no longer a Seventh-day Adventist. That shocked my wife, completely shocked her. We met in the SDA church in Harlem. My children were born in a household that believed in the SDA church and believed in that being the so-called remnant church. So that declaration from the head of the house, the priest of the house, shook the house. But I said to them, I'm not going to force you or try to coerce you to leave the SDA church. I will still take you every Shabbat to Shabbat school like we always did. I will still take you out after Shabbat school. We will go to the country like we always do. I will let you make your decisions. And over the course of time, my children were asking me, Daddy, why are you making this declaration? And over the course of the next year, this was 2007. Over the course of that next 2007, I would slowly explain to them little by little, because I really did not want to force what I was seeing on them because it was new to me too. But I just wanted the truth. And I wanted the truth from the word. So I started slowly explaining to them. And by the end of 2007, one day we were going to different churches. We were in Southern Virginia near the North Carolina border. And I was taking them to different churches. They would say, we would go to a church. I would go to the Sabbath school with them. I did not have the SDA quarterly because I no longer believed in it. I only wanted the Bible. So when I would sit in the Sabbath school and I would say, what part of the Bible is this quarterly studying today? And I would go right to that part of the Bible, and then I would basically be starting trouble because I'll be like, well, this is what your quarterly says, but this is what the Bible says. And then after that, I would ask my wife and children, did you want to stay what they called the so-called divine service at 11 o'clock? Did y'all want to stay? And if they said yes, I would go to the fellowship hall or the kitchen or the car, and I would sit there and read my Bible while they was there. And when they was done, if they wanted to stay for lunch, we'd stay. If they wanted to go to somebody's house, we'd go. If they wanted to go home, we'd leave. So over the course of time, after they were asking me questions and I was showing them where I stood from the Bible, slowly, they were getting dissatisfied with what they were hearing in that church. So then it would get to the point where they'd say, okay, it's not XYZ church. Let's go to ABC church. Maybe they're different. I knew they wouldn't be, but we did. Okay, we'll go to ABC church. I took them to wherever church they wanted to go to. And we went to many. Until one day, we went to one, and the children were in the SDA church. They have children's classes and adult classes. They have they call them the early teen classes, and they have classes for the youth. My son, I think it was either my son or my daughter, would not take their quarterly. And then the teacher came to me in the regular sanctuary when I was in the adult class and said, your son or your daughter, I forgot which one, don't want this quarterly. And I looked at the quarterly, I said, I totally understand that. This is garbage. And they were all offended. When we left, my children and my wife said, we don't need to be going back anymore to that church. We can, and that's when we started doing what we call home church. Just us in the house. It was a little tough because there was nobody. Then we had a brother and sister come down and we fellowship with them. And then we met another brother and sister. And it was probably pretty much 2 or 3, sometimes a 4th family would get together. It was slow over time. But all this time I'm reading the scriptures. And all this time now I'm to the point where it was around, I say, and we were going through it. The dreams the Most High was showing me about the trials that was coming was happening at the same time. And we were going through it. Bankruptcy, foreclosure, repossessions, all of that was happening. Okay, no money coming in. All of that was happening at the same time. So around 2012, yeah, I'd say it was around 2012. Maybe it was 2011. Sometime in 2011, I decided I'm not even a Christian anymore, because as I started reading the Bible more every year, I started coming to the conclusion that the Bible was focused on Israel. The first 5 books, called the books of Moses, was Israelite writing what the Father gave him. And then every time I'm reading this, I'm now Israel is coming to me hard. And then, of course, I went back into the book of Deuteronomy, and then everything started opening up at that time. Because by that time now, I'm in my 9th or 8th or 9th or 10th reading of the scriptures, and now everything is talking to me in a whole new level. So then I declared I'm not even a Christian, which again threw my wife for a loop. Through all my friends, the few families that we were getting together, through everybody, my wife said, he's going crazy, he's losing his mind. He's not even saying he's a Christian now, because now it came to me, I cannot look at the Bible as a Christian book. So now I'm looking at the Bible as a book about Israel and the God of Israel. And that's what I started on, a whole different path. All because I asked the Father to show me the truth. And I had my mind open to look at it. And so I mentioned to y'all, I always tell y'all, read the Bible. Well, and there were leaders among us back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, going back, 100 years in our captivity here in this country, in the United States. And one of them was a man named Stokely Carmichael, a West Indian man, who family moved to the United States. Very intelligent young man. in terms of academics, changed his name later to Kwame Ture. And he read the Bible through several times. He had also read through the Quran several times. He had also read through many books of Judaism and the Talmud several times. But his premise, and he would state this, was that all religions are the same. So when he's looking at the Bible, he's not looking at it to say, I want to learn about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's looking to prove that all religions are the same. Therefore, he would not see what I saw. Because my premise initially was the SDA church was the remnant church. And then, of course, this is a book about Christianity. But then after reading it and with the premise of I need the author to show me him and what he wants me to learn so I can be obedient to him, that's a whole different attitude. So I must have the right attitude as I'm coming to the word. If I come to the word saying all religions are alike, now I'm looking for it to justify my preconceived belief. And that's what Kwame Ture did. He went to justify that all religions are alike. And so if you listen, and I listened to many of his speeches, many of them they're out there on YouTube. And the premise of his speeches, if you listen to him, is political organization. We must be organized. That's one of his favorite things to talk about. We must be organized. We have to be organized, he would say. And therefore, he lost the whole premise of the Bible, is that man cannot save himself. And so in his mind, he would say, religion is about the afterlife. It's not about this life. That's what he said. Religion is about the afterlife, not about this life. Then I started to realize he didn't know about the Bible. He really don't. He read it, but didn't understand what he was talking about because he thought already that he knew. Then Malcolm X says something like this. This is what he said. Now I'm quoting him. He said, we believe what the Bible says, but we don't believe the lies that the white man put in the Bible. That's a direct quote. I can give you the link. He said, we believe what the Bible says, but we don't believe what the white man put in the Bible. So wait, which is it? Do you believe it or don't you? Right? You can't say in one verse, we believe it. And then in this, well, these lies are not true. So now you're going to try to decide which is true and what is not. So you're saying it must be a lie because a lie is have lie. A truth has no lie. The truth is just truth, right? It has no lie. They can't be together. Then I realized Malcolm X didn't know the Bible. He didn't. You understand? And that's not like him. I love Malcolm X. I love Kwame Ture. But then I understood that what we're being given from the word, and the reason is because I am one, and all of you are the same. You're sitting at the feet of the Father. And you're asking him to teach you. And why? For his glory. So that you can be obedient for his glory. That's a whole different attitude. So therefore, when he shows you something, Messiah is saying, I'm going to be given over to the Gentiles and hung up on a tree and mocked. And then 3 days later, I'm going to rise again. You will receive it. And if you don't understand it, you will go to him and say, Messiah, tell me, what do you mean by that? Are you really going to die? Are you really going to be put to death? And are you really going to raise again from the dead? But they didn't ask him. You never hear them ask him. What do you mean by that? Nope. Because that went against what they preconceived what they wanted the Messiah to be. And he was telling them. And just like us, they had to learn. When he's showing you something, believe what he's saying. When he's telling you something, believe what he said. Even if it don't make no sense to what your preconceived notions are, believe what he said. If you want the truth now. And if you believe that he is truth, because either you do or you don't. That's what it comes down to. That's right. That's what disappointed me about Brother Malcolm. You can't say, I believe this and don't believe that. Or the whole Bible is a parable. You can't try to justify your half belief because of your preconceived notion. Either you in or you out. That's the way you got to do it. Okay? You can't be halfway. It's like you can't be half pregnant. Either a woman's pregnant or she's not. Can't be half in. And if she's pregnant, somebody has sex with her. Can't not. There's only one Miriam. There's only one Miriam. So you can't be half pregnant. And you can't be half in truth. Either you all in or you not. And if you're not, just put it away. You understand? If you're not, just put it away. So for me, Father Yah is the truth, which means his word, which I believe this to be his word, is the truth, which means Messiah, who also claimed, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So now, either you in or you not. They set down the gauntlet. They just drew the line in the sand right there and said, okay, you in or you out. Don't be half in. Don't say, I believe part of it, not all of it. And that's what most all false religions do that. Especially those that try to claim, well, we believe in Moses. No, you don't, because if you did, you'd be in this book. You can't get another book and say, well, a non-Hebrew Israelite is going to give us light when the book says only Hebrew Israelites have received light. You can't do both ways. Either you in or you out. So just be out. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to believe, just be out. I don't believe in the Talmud. I don't believe in Apocrypha. I don't believe in Islam. I'm not a believer. I believe just this book. I'm not a believer in Christianity. I'm not in it. Either you in it or you out. Can't be both. And the Bible likens Israel into a delicate and comely woman. So with you with a woman and you a man, what she want to know? Are you in or you out? And what you want to know, can I trust you? Or are you just trying to take me and secretly do some stupidness? Can I trust you? And that's why the Bible said a wife, one of the first tenet of a wife is the heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he have no need of spoil. That's extremely important, brethren. That's extremely important. And so, if you're going to marry this woman and you know you can trust her, are you in or you out? You can't say you half in. Either you in or you out. If you don't, you're not there, man. It's not going to work. So here, he is telling them, this is what's up. And they don't want to hear it. And because of that, what you saw happen, happened. Okay? What you saw happen, happened. They got all confused. They were all scared, right? And the Messiah came from the dead, just like he said, and met with them. They couldn't see who he was. He walking beside to them. They didn't even know it until they said. So he's telling them, hung out with them for 40 days, so that now they were solidified in the truth. And still, wilt thou at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? Still, he still had to show them. Same with us. Only thing is now, the stakes are higher. Because this Messiah coming is the most important event that ever happened on planet Earth. But now the return of Messiah, the establishment of the kingdom of Messiah, the end of Babylon, the end of the beast, the end of the false prophet. This is the climactic event of all events. Stakes are higher. Okay? Just as he did die and rose from the dead, he is going to return and destroy everything here. Just as Noah said, there's going to be a flood to destroy everything that liveth on land. And it did happen. The return of Messiah is about to happen. He's going to come through the firmament. Let me not even say from the sky. Let's put it the way the Bible says it. He's going to come through the firmament. The firmament that the Father made. Praise the Most High. And he is preparing us for that kingdom. Praise the Most High. So as we're headed to that, he shows us, and he's still, well, I know y'all, I'm not the only one. He's showing us dreams. He's giving us visions. He's showing things to us about what's going to happen. And some of it, brethren, let's be real, it's going to be rough. It ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be easy. He ain't giving you no easy peasy, rosy path, man. I mean, aside from, and like I was listening to Dr. Boyce yesterday. I like to listen to these brothers, right? Even though I don't agree with half of what they say usually. I believe when a brother's trying, if I think somebody's insincere, right? If I think somebody's being deceptive to hurt our people, I won't listen to them. And mostly those are the religious side of the equation. People stand up trying to call themselves Bible teachers or whatever, and they wear all kind of uniforms or whatever. I don't even want to listen to you. I don't even want to hear you because you're a big traitor to me. But somebody like a W.E.B. Du Bois, a Dr. Clark, Dr. Kress, Khalid Abdul Muhammad, especially of brothers like Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, Khalid Abdul Muhammad. I listen to them. You know why? Because they all died for what they believe. See, when a man puts his life on the line for what he believes, he might be wrong about some things, but one thing he ain't wrong about, he's convicted, right? So say what you want about Brother Khalid. That brother makes me laugh. I can listen to him because I know he died for what he believes. Whereas there's others out here talking, ain't died, ain't gonna die because they're being protected. And they ain't being protected by our friends. I ain't gonna say no names, but as this one brother say, if the shoe fit, put that mess on. If the shoe fit, if I throw the rock and it hit you, it hit you. Put that mess on. Okay? But anyway, I was listening to Dr. Boyce, and Dr. Boyce was saying something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing him. I'm not giving the direct quote here. I'm paraphrasing. Basically, we're all been brainwashed. And if we want to be kings, we got to look at the template of Black Wall Street. If you don't know what Black Wall Street was represented by Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the 1930s, I think, whereby that is the power structure of white supremacy, had us separate from them and unequal, though they claimed it was separate but equal. It was separate and unequal. And we took our own land, our own money, our own separate but unequal status, and built a mini little empire down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Had banks, businesses. The money was in our own community, and we built it with their rules. Under their rules, we built it, and under the guise of some sort of a front, they burned it down. And this is what Dr. Boyce was missing. He's looking at Black Wall Street, but he's not understanding you're in a system that they will destroy if you get too big. See? Yeah, there was a Black Wall Street. Yep. There was a Rosewood. Yep. There was. Okay. There was a North Carolina. There was Wall Street. There was, before Central Park, there was a Black city there. Oh, yeah. That was all there. And then there came Red Summer. There came the destruction. There came urban renewal. There came drugs. There came destruction. Because if you get too much, they will tear it down. And if you make it through the rules they set, they're even amazed because they're not designed for you to make it like that. See? And what Dr. Boyce still didn't understand, because he's talking to Willie D, a former rapper, right? He's talking to Willie D, a former rapper. They're discussing this. In fact, I think it was on Willie D's show. He's talking Dr. Boyce. And Willie D is an entertainer. You see, brethren, what we don't understand is why do you think the richest black people you always see are entertainers? Why do you think that is? Most people don't think of that. What you're thinking is what they're getting. You're thinking this is what they're getting money, man. They're getting paid, man. Yeah. But why do you think that is? You see, there's a reason. The owners, there are people that pay them that own them. Do you understand that? So when you see a LeBron James and you see he's starting businesses, or you see a Magic Johnson, don't think that he's the end all. There's people above him that helped him get there. And why? First thing you must understand. And those of us on, as Malcolm X would say, on the street level, understand we're in our enemy's land. Right? So if the enemy allows entertainers, it must be, number one, they're not threatened. Their power structure is not threatened by the entertainer. Number two, they can exploit and enrich themselves even further by the entertainer. Do you understand? So that though you think you're getting somewhere, you're not getting nowhere. They got you. And when you see baseball players, say, or basketball players, or hockey players, or football players get tens, hundreds of millions of dollars, and you want to do that, you're saying, you know what? If my kid, I've seen people, I got people, you know, I know people, lots, and y'all do too. Oh, shoot, this kid could throw a baseball. He's only 8 years old. Let's make sure he keeps playing, man, because maybe he can get 300-400 million one day. Isn't that the case? I just met some children you fed come down here from Michigan somewhere, or I'm not sure, Wisconsin somewhere, bought a place down here because their little 10-year-old boy can throw a baseball faster than other 10-year-old boys. And they bring him down here to get trained in baseball. Then they go back. And that's they were investing everything that they got in hopes that this boy's right on could bring them wealth. And so, especially among black people, but when you really think about it, and one time I had a child, my coach, a white man, he told me, he said, listen, how many basketball players play in the NBA? At that time, there was about 300. See, now it's 15 teams, I think, right? 30 teams, 15 players, 450. At that time, there was not that many. He said it was 300. He said, okay, so there's 300 NBA players in the whole world. And there's thousands and thousands of players that are really good. How good do you have to be one of those 300? And what are the odds that you will be one of those? He said, he told me at the time, he said, instead of thinking you're going to make millions of dollars, go get your education. He said, go to Wall Street, you'll get paid. Don't worry. That was his advice. He said, forget these illusions of athlete. He said, use it to go get paid. Real. Now, he didn't know, but he was giving me good advice. What he was saying was, they're causing you to make a dream that will hardly come true. And the numbers are against you. I mean, right? I'm 5'11". And I think, man, I'm going to be a pro player. I'm going to be baseball player, football player, basketball player. Yeah, but no. Then in the NFL, I'm dreaming about making one. I was trying to be an NFL player. I was a little boy trying to be an NFL. I want to be Jim Brown. That's back before y'all time. That's old man. If I could be like Jim Brown. And then, because Jim Brown was from Long Island, he went to school with my dad. Him and John Mackey would go back, man. So I was like, man, I'm gonna be like Jim Brown and John Mackey. Then I realized, I learned the average NFL career was less than 4 years. It was 3 years. And I was like, shoot, only 3 years? And then you might not be able to walk the same. You could live. And then later on, I was seeing, this was back in the 70s. I was seeing guys that had retired in the 70s from the 60s having brain problems. And I thought they was heroes because they gave everything for that game. But Now I'm looking back and saying, man, for a game, for entertainment. So we're being deceived. They put entertainers in front of us, and then they make them our leaders. And Malcolm X laughed about that when he was in an interview, and somebody said to him, what about, he said, they're black leaders, and they mentioned Harry Belafonte, and he laughed. He said, oh, yeah, Harry Belafonte, Lito Horn. He said, Sidney Poitier. He said, where in the white community are entertainers your leaders, horn players and actors? And they couldn't say nothing to him. And yet, that's what we're looking at right now. And we're all thinking, we want that. But we shouldn't want that. We want something higher. The Messiah was talking about not an NFL, not a Federal Reserve Bank, not a U.S. government. The Messiah was talking about a kingdom. That's what he was talking about. And at least the disciples understood what that was, a kingdom. Okay. We're still in Matthew 17. So we just started there with the first two verses of 22, 23. Watch this now. 24 down to verse 27. And when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, doth not your master pay tribute? He said, yes. And when he was coming to the house, Yahushua prevented him, saying, what thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Peter said unto him, of strangers. Yahushua said unto him, then are the children free. Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou to the sea and cast an hook and take up the fish that first cometh up. And when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money. That take and give unto them for me and thee. Now, this was deep. This was much deeper than most people realize. Okay. So they come to Capernaum. Capernaum, if you're looking through the Gospels, is where most of these fishermen that the disciple had, that were disciples, came from. Capernaum. Okay. So he going to his own. He wasn't talking to no Gentiles. He wasn't talking to no Romans. He going there, and one of the Hebrews comes to him and said, does your master, does he pay taxes? Now, and so Messiah asked Peter, he said, okay, so he said, when the kings of the earth take custom and tribute, do they take it of their own people or strangers? He said strangers, because that's how it worked. Like Rome did not tax Roman citizens. They taxed everybody under the control of Rome. That's how it originally was. When Israel or any nation in the Bible overcame another nation, they did not tax their own people. They would tax the people they just took over. So if Israel took over Philistines, they would tax the Philistines. If the Philistines beat Israel, they would tax Israel. They wouldn't tax their own people. So here you got Israelites asking the Messiah about a Roman tax. Now, Peter messed up. Peter messed up. He just jumped off and said, yes. Look, if it was you, right? If it was one of your brothers, right? Stephen Kelly, Jerry, Joseph, Castle King, and somebody asked one of your friends, did your boy do this X, Y, and Z? You want me or anybody answering a question like that for you, or do you want to answer for yourself? Somebody comes and say, did Stephen Kelly pay his taxes this year, brother? And I just say, yeah, he did. Does Stephen Kelly want me answering for him? Or does he want it? What should I say? You need to go ask Stephen Kelly, right? You need to go ask him. You need to go ask Castle King. Or you asking me about Gary Joseph? You need to go ask Gary Joseph. Don't be asking me. But Peter presumed to answer for the Messiah. Here's Messiah. Go ask him. That's problem number one. Problem number two are the sellouts that came to Peter and said, did your master pay the Romans? Why are they doing that? They selling out. They were the ones collecting for the Romans from Israelites. Sellouts. And brethren, sellout is part of the game in Babylon. Sellout is part of the game. Don't think sellout is a rare thing. Sellout is a regularity. See, when we understand, it's like part of our problem in the United States of America, aside from not knowing who we are, right? That's a big one. Don't know who you are. We'll get into that in a minute. Don't know who you are, okay? Don't know who you are. Aside from that, is your trust in your enemies, right? The only way you could get taken by somebody is if you have to trust them. You have to trust them first, right? You can't get taken by a car salesman, by a bad spouse. You can't get taken by anybody unless you first trust them. So the premise of the game is you get someone to trust you, then you can do them, right? So you got to understand you can't trust your enemy. And first, you got to understand who your enemy is. Then you can't trust your enemy. Oh, now you could deal on a real level because now you're not getting taken by your enemy because you understand they're your enemy. And let me make this mean a little bit more clearer, if I can, if I may. As I mention often, none of us control where we're born. None of us have a say in who our two parents are. None of us have a say in what you look like when you come through your mama's womb. You don't have a control over any of that. That's given. That's what you get. That's you, that you have no control. What country you're born into, what family you're born into, who your two parents are, what color is your skin, what do you look like when you're born. Nobody has control over that. Okay? You can't control that. All right? But what you can control is when you get now any power to have choice over anything. Now you can control what your choices are. Does that make sense, brethren? We got that so far? So in other words, you already have power. Now the Father gave us that power to choose. You could choose whatever. And the older you get, the more power of choice you have. So you can make choices. Okay? You can choose. But where you start, who you are, when you begin, you have no power over that. That's just where you're given. Now, we are born, all of us, into a worldwide Babylonian system. You cannot control that. You are born into a worldwide Babylonian, modern Babylon system. This system is controlled by the descendants of the children of Japhet. You can't control that. That's the way it is. The Federal Reserve Bank, the Catholic Church, Christianity, Islam, all of them came from the children of Japhet. All of them are controlled. The money, the politics, the entertainment, everything is controlled by the children of Japhet. You have no choice in that. You're born into that. Okay? All of us are. I don't care what color you are. You white, you're born into it. You black, you're born into it. Just to make it simple. But if you're white, black, yellow, red, you're born into this system. The Bible shows us the children of Japhet run and own and develop the system. Now, a child of Japhet is born into a child of Japhet system. They can't control that. They can't. They're just born into it. But they can choose to look for it and see it for the truth of what it really is. They can see it if they want to. Most of them choose not to. You are born in that system, and if you got brown skin, you already got a problem. The darker your skin, the more bigger your problem is, because you're born into a system that ain't made for you. It ain't favoring you. And you can't help it. You're born into it. So now you got to decide. How do you deal with that? What do you want? How do you get it? And the ones that belong to the Father happen to be of darker skin, happen to be melanated. So you have a couple of things you're dealing with, a lot of things you're dealing with coming into this system that you had no control over when you were born into it. Everybody does, which is why you can have some so-called white people that are cool. They couldn't help being born into a system that their ancestors created for them to dominate. Some of them are. Very few, but some of them are. Then you got some black people that are born into the system and they see it as a white dominated system and they know they can never be white, so they sell out their own people to try to get ahead in the system that was they were born not to succeed. Okay, now the sellout, the capital first number one sellout was Asatan. That's how sellout began. Sellout started with him. You see, brethren, Eve did not sell out. She was disobedient and she was deceived. Bible plainly says that. First Timothy, chapter 3, plainly says that. She was deceived. Adam wasn't deceived. So she didn't sell out. She was just being willfully ignorant and disobedient, all of that. And she was deceived into buying into the deceiver. She trusted the deceiver and got messed up. And that is why the woman is below the man today. And all women need to understand that. That's the reason you need a man. It started there. Adam was made first. You were supposed to be by his side. You're supposed to listen to him. But instead you wander off and you start running your mouth with the enemy. And you believe the enemy and you got taken. There's a legacy to that, y'all. But anyway, it started in the kingdom. It started in the kingdom of the third heaven. Look here. Ezekiel chapter 28. Ezekiel 28. Ezekiel 28 is describing somebody called the Prince of Tyrus, but it's also describing Asatan. In Ezekiel chapter 28, I want you to see, I'm going to start at verse 12 and go down to verse 15. Ezekiel 28, 12 to 15. Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Most High. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, topaz, and diamond, the beryl, onyx, and jasper, sapphire, the emerald, carbuncle, and gold. I want you to notice these are the same jewels that are on the gates of the city. This covered Asatan. Okay. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. So he was created with this. Workmanship of tabrets and pipes, musical ability was given to him. And he was made beautiful. He was made by the Heavenly Father. Beautiful. Okay. Verse 14. Thou art the anointed cherub. Anointed means filled with the Spirit. Cherub means an angel right beside the throne. Those are the cherubs. An angel right beside the throne. In the most holy place, you see the Ark of the Covenant, and there are two statues of angels Moses was told to make that stand over and look over the law of the Most High, the covenant, because that's representative of the character of the Father. In real, there's two actual angels. Cherub, and he was one of them. So he was created beautiful. He was created in a high position right next to the Father. Okay. Thou was upon the holy mountain of Yahweh. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou was perfect in all in thy ways from the day thou was created till iniquity was found in thee. So the first sellout was Asatan. He was given high position. He was given talent. He was given beauty. And instead of giving glory to his father, he wanted to take his father's place. He said, I will be like the Most High. Isaiah 14. Then there was war over this, and he lost. And he and all those that believed his lies of his tale were cast out. That was the first sellout. So he's smiling and he's beautiful and he's lying. And he convinced a third of the angels that he was being misjudged, that he was the right, and the Father in heaven was wrong. And ever since then, he has used people as sellouts. And he convinces them. And this is what James says in the book of James, chapter 1. James chapter 1, which is this what happened to Eve. James chapter 1, beginning at verse 13. James chapter 1, beginning at verse 13. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Yahweh. For Yahweh cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted, verse 14, when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So Asatan puts something in front of you, like Eve, you can be a goddess. You and Adam can be gods. And no, you won't die. Puts that in front of her and says, don't worry about what the Father's telling you. You won't die and you'll be a God. And he knows that. He's trying to stop you from being greater. And there she's tempted. There she takes the fruit. There she's fooled. And that's the way sellouts go all the way till now. A sellout always thinks, Judas, they're smarter than the Most High. They think they're smarter than the Messiah. They think, and it's all about what they want. Never mind the glory of the Father. It's what they want and what they can get out of the deal. What's in it for moi? That's how it comes down to for the sellout. You understand? Mm-hmm. And that is why also, speaking of music, did you notice in Babylon when Nebuchadnezzar made the image and he wanted the people to bow and worship the image to himself, what was the sign that they were given? What was the signal that they were given? That when you get this signal, you worship. Music. When you hear the music, bow. Now, I'm not speaking evil of music. Okay, music is a gift. The Most High put it in our Satan. It's a gift from the Most High. But it is interesting, isn't it, that Most High gave our Satan ability for music, and that music can be used to control behavior. And if any of y'all been in any party, right? You've been in the party, you've been in a club or a house party, you will know the music sets the tone for what the mood is going to be. Isn't that correct? Like if you want brethren and sisters to start getting together on a real, you play slow, quiet, sexy music, right? If you want them to be fighting, you play music that's loud and aggressive and you want war, right? Sets the tone for the mood. And then based on your mood, you can be manipulated, right? So with the music is powerful. I mean, I think we have to all acknowledge music is a powerful tool, bro. It's powerful. It's powerful, right? We know that. It's very powerful. And yes, and I'm glad, Francis brought up R. Kelly. R. Kelly's a pedophile, right? I mean, he's a convicted pedophile. I'm not saying anything that's not public information. He's a convicted pedophile. He's in jail, okay? And yet brothers start to sing, right? And you be like, whoa, what is that? That is something else, man. So that you're looking at the musician, and it's funny because in the Boondocks, they show, Riley was trying to take up for R. Kelly because he loved his music, so he wouldn't believe that R. Kelly could be guilty of, being a pedophile. So he was like, nah, not R. Kelly, nah. See? So you start to root for the devil because of the music. But listen, right? It's a powerful thing, though, isn't it? But the first sellout was Asatan. And so he uses music, he uses money, he uses whatever that will entice a person to trust him. And he has used sellouts ever since. So here Messiah is met at the door, or Peter is, with some sellouts. And sellouts are always up to no good. So you got to know who your enemies are. The enemy for us is this system. The system is our enemy. Okay, we know the system was created and run by the children of Yafet, but we don't hate all children of Yafet. I'm not going to be like Khalid Muhammad, though I understand why he said it. He said the white man is the devil. That's what he said. I'm not going to call all white men the devil. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's even true, obviously. But we have to understand that the system created by them is of the devil. The beast received power and authority from the dragon, right? So we have to understand that this system created by them and for them is of Satan. You cannot trust this system. That is why you don't trust Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, because guess what? They're both working for the same system. That's your enemy. Do y'all understand that? The system's your enemy. We fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Brethren, that's a system, brethren. That is not an individual. We fight not against flesh and blood. That's not a person. We fight against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. That is a system. Okay? So we have to understand who our enemy is. And some people, well, most people are representing our enemy. Some are doing it out of ignorance. Some are doing it for the regular sellout reasons. What's in it for me and mine? Forget you. I don't care what color you are. What's in it for me and mine? You know, I was there. And that's how I know it, because I was wondering. I was a sellout. I could say that. See, if you're going to be real, you got to be real, right? What? You want me to sit up here and tell you I never made mistakes? Any teacher that come up and tell you they never made mistakes or they act like they got all the answers is lying to you. Period. End of story. Lying to you. Especially, when they start saying we need your money to support this ministry. You guys know, right? I ain't got to tell you that. But let me just tell you. I was interviewed in 1997 by this wealthy young white boy. And I was interviewed by this firm. It was a financial planning firm. And just to show you how ironic this was, I used to work 2 jobs, sometimes 3. But one of my jobs for about 5 years, I used to deliver the Wall Street Journal. And I could always tell in my deliveries of the journal, because when I delivered the Wall Street Journal at the time, I was always, I'd say 95% of the time in wealthy neighborhoods, because it's Wall Street Journal, right? So the people that's getting subscriptions to the Wall Street Journal at the time, it wasn't online. It was all like paper, right? So I roll up in the middle of the night, putting these paper in rich people's yards and rich people's porches and all that, people that had loot. Okay, when I say had loot, you know what I mean, right? So most of y'all do. If you know, you know. But anyway. Hey, Sister Kimberly. Okay. All right. So praise the Most High for answered prayer. Sister Kimberly, we was praying for you. I reached out to you anyway. We just praise the Most High that you're here. Thank the Most High Yah. But anyway, let's go back to my story. So I'm delivering the Wall Street Journal. And when I would go to businesses, I could tell if they was making a lot of money by how many Wall Street Journals they would get. Like if I went to a business and I had to put the Wall Street Journals in a bag and throw the bag at the door of the business, I said, oh man, them cats making money. So I ended up being interviewed by this firm that had been delivering the Wall Street Journal to, and they were getting a whole bunch of Wall Street Journal. And so I knew that whatever they were doing, they was making money. This was a financial planning firm. Now, I am a stiff-necked Hebrew. No doubt about that. I freely admit it. Okay. So I walked in, and what happened was, make a long story short, you see, they always picture you as stupid. And if you are not stupid, they just say you're a rich slave. That's really how they look at you. I'm just going to tell you. You could think they love you. They don't. Okay. It's not about that. You're just a rich slave, or you're a smart slave to them. And I can say another word, but I think you'll understand. So there was a couple of licenses. At the time, I was trying to be actually an NBA agent. I was thinking about it. I never really went through it with it, but I was friends with a couple of NBA players, both very high level NBA players, both retired by now. And because of my association with them, I thought, man, let me get prepared to represent them. Maybe I can get, maybe manage their money from it. That's how I thought. So I went to a firm called American Express. At the time, American Express had a financial planning firm. They've changed their name, but I went there for the express purpose. And I told them, I'm not wanting to join your firm, but I want to get these licenses because I'm going to bring, and I named the players and they was excited when you say, oh, you know them? And they checked it out and they knew I knew them. Yes. So they sponsored me and I started taking these tests, and I didn't realize that all the white boys was failing these tests. Series 7, 63, 65, life and health. I was knocking them out because this was about money, man. So I was knocking out all of them tests. Bang, 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 bang. And they said, you passed this, you passed that. Yeah. And I didn't even realize, honestly, what all of those licenses was for, except I knew it allowed me to invest money for these brothers, right? So I said, man, I was knocking them tests out. I did not know at the time that most of the white boys was failing them tests. I didn't know that. And so what happened when I passed all the tests, make a long story short, both them Negroes went to other dudes, Ashkenazis, and left me alone. Okay, so now I have all these licenses and no players, right? So I didn't know that they had a list of people that had passed these tests. I didn't know they even sold such lists. But apparently I was on one of them. So this firm calls me, not knowing what I look like, not knowing anything. And I can talk, I can talk like a white guy if I want to. Right? Hey, listen, y'all know there's the black voice and there's the white boy voice, especially if you're trying to sell something. It's true. There's a white boy voice. All of us that are professional Hebrews know the code. We know how to switch it. So now I get a call. This white woman's on the line. Mr. Gladstone, we received somebody recommended you to our firm. I said, really? I said, yes. And I said, really? Yes. You have the Series 7, the 65, the 60? Yes. Oh, we really want to talk to you. And I said, okay. So at the time, it was 1997, house in foreclosure. Already had, I think by that time, must have 3 or 4 cars repossessed already, including my black BMW gone. Right? We ain't got no money. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do. So my wife said, well, who is that? And I said, this financial planning firm. And she's like, what? She said, they offering you a job? They want to interview? I said, she said, go and make sure the salary is good. I said, all right. So I went and I came into, this is a true story, I swear. I came into the lobby. I walked, and first of all, when I saw the building, I recognized the building. I said, oh, shoot, these are them dudes. And I said, oh, shoot. So I came in the building, man, and I walked into the main lobby where the secretary is, the receptionist, and she does, the black double take. Can I help you? If you're a Hebrew, you've seen it before and you know what it means, right? Like, Negro, what you doing here? What do you want? Okay. That was all I needed. And then the Hebrew attitude came. Hebrew attitude came right there. That's all. Because first of all, I walked in there and it was full of people. The room was full of white men with their wives. Old white men with their wives. This was 1997. Okay. And so they looking at me too, and not even the janitor. The janitor was white. Usually they have a black janitor or even a Spanish janitor. No. All white people. So I walk in there, and now I got an attitude, man. I'm here to see Mr. I forgot his name. Let's call him Mr. Don, Mr. Doe, whatever. I'm here to see Mr. Doe. You're here to see Rick? Yes. Okay, Rick. Mr. Glasgow's here to see. Oh, I can hear the voice. Send him in. Now, he don't know what I look like. She's wanting to say, it's almost like Blazing Saddle. The sheriff is they don't know yet. So I walk into homie's office. Brother got, everything in there. You could smell money when you walk in. If If you know, you know, right? You walk in there, everybody, the parking lot's full of Benzos, Beamers, you know, Acuras. It's like that. I'm in there. I got hole in one shoe. I got these old wingtips on. There's a hole in it because I could not. I got a hole in the crotch of my pants, and I'm trying to walk a certain way so they can't see that they can see my underwear if they look hard enough, right? I ain't lying. And I walk in there, attitude. So I see Rick, giant office, leather, everything's leather, couches, everything, and he got this giant desk, and he's sitting behind this little white dude. Did you bring your resume? That's what he said to me. Did you bring your resume? I'm looking at him like I'm looking at this camera right here. I said, did I call you or did you call me? And he, you know, the white boy laughed, the nervous one. I said, no. I said, I didn't bring my resume because you called me. So you must know who I am and you must know about me. So what you need my resume for? I'm here. I don't care now. I don't care. I don't care. I know they ain't giving me no job. So I was like, you know, forget it. That's where I was going all in now. So he laughed. I said, hey. So then he starts to tell me about the job. And then he messed up, going to tell me straight commission. Straight commission. Damn. I said, oh, no salary? He said, no. Straight commission. But you can make a lot of money. I said, yeah, okay. He said, you think you could do this job? I said, can I do it? Of course I could do it. Question is it worth taking? You know, is it worth it? Why would I join your firm? He laughs again and we talk for a while and then I leave. I call my wife and I said, forget that one. She said, what do you mean? I said, I told her. She said, straight commission. I said, now we trying to scrape together food. I'm trying to lie to you. We trying to scrape together food. So I'm like, you know, that ain't gonna work. Right. The same day or the next day, somebody else called me from the firm. We understand you had a great interview with Rick. I said, what? He said, yeah. We would like to interview you again if you don't mind. I don't know what's going on. My wife said, don't waste your time. David ain't coming. I said, no, let me go check. So I went. Now there's a fat dude named Grossman. Okay. And Grossman, he won me. Let me tell you how. So we go in and he tells me, at the time I'm doing mortgages. That's what I was doing. And I was struggling with the mortgage. I had definitely cut some corners. There's no doubt. I wasn't doing clean mortgages, put it that way. And I was trying to cut corners, make money, and then I was brokering, right? So and many people don't know that. I don't know, but at the time, not all the brokers I dealt with would pay up. Like they promised you do the business, you give them the mortgage, and you wouldn't get paid. It'd be like that. And I dealt with all kinds. I was dealing with mafiosos, everybody. I was real stupid, y'all. So I walk into Michael Grossman's office. Michael Grossman's office is just like Rick's office. Michael Grossman drove a new Jaguar. Michael Grossman had 2 assistants. Michael Grossman was living large. So we go in there and I'm smelling the money. I'm smelling it. And I'm like, dang, man. He said, listen, Mr. Glasgow. He said, let me explain to you. If you sell $100,000 annuity, you will get $5,000. See, you have to understand. If I sold a $100,000 mortgage, I would get $500. And that would be questionable. And I'd be cutting corners to try to get 1,000. So I was like, wait, you trying to tell me if somebody invested $100,000 in one of your annuities, you're going to give me $5,000? He said, yeah, I guarantee. I said, Mike, listen, man. I told him, I said, his name was Mike. I said, Mike, look, don't play with me, man. I'm not in a position right now. This ain't no joke. He started laughing. But this wasn't the nervous white boy laugh. This was the white boy confident laugh. No, you really would get $5,000. I said, $5,000? I said, where do I sign up? And then he started getting excited because we were talking. I don't know what I told him. He said, man, And I can't tell you exactly what he said, but he said, I'm excited. He said, I'm excited, daggone. He said, okay, listen. He said, and this is where you can tell where I was. He said, he said, I'm ashamed to say. He said, but this is a 140-year-old firm, and they've never had an African-American work here. And I said, Mike, I don't give about black or white. Money is green, baby. That's all I care about. That's the only color I'm looking at. Green. He started cracking up. And I told him, I said, no, I need to be honest with you. I said, look, my house in foreclosure. I had to borrow a car to get here today. This is where he wanted me, though. Homie pulled out a wad. He would regularly carry $5,000, $10,000 in his pocket. I'm not lying. Homie was making $600,000 a year at that time. Later on, he would make well over $1 million a year doing financial planning. So he would regularly carry between 5 and 10 G's in his pocket. And he pulled out this wad of hundreds, man. He said, how much you need? And then I said, listen, Mike, I can't pay you back. He said, this ain't no loan. Laid $400-500 on me right there. Done. And that's how the sellout is born. They know they know you're struggling, they know you're suffering, and they know you want better. And they are there to meet it and buy you. He bought me for $500. I would spend the next 10, 13 years in that business. Okay. And I would sell. The first year I was there, I found out later that all the white boys were taking bets that I wouldn't last a year because I was the only black person. And then at the end of that first year, they would come at me and say, Todd doesn't know he's black. Because I didn't care. I brought Vietnamese people in there, white people in there, black people in there. If you had money, I was right up under you. See? I was working 80-hour weeks. I was doing business, y'all, trying to get this done, right? I didn't know what I was doing. I knew how to sell. I would still end up in bankruptcy. I would still end up in foreclosure. I would still end up owing the IRS big money because I was just collecting the money, paying bills, and keeping the rest in my pocket. That's how I was doing. And to me, to go from $0 to $100,000 was like I hit lotto. You understand? I hit lotto. It all caught up with me eventually, though. And that's when most. And I knew in my heart, I knew eventually I was going to. It was just that business was dirty. I was literally there was 60 advisors in that firm. I mean, I think there was 5 of us that wasn't cheating on our wives. The minute some of them cats, and I was the small toe. Like I made like I think my high yield was like 140,000. Like I said, there was dudes making 100,000 in a month. Lots of them, and they was cheating on their wives. They were doing things with and they were surprised I wasn't, and I wasn't because I knew I was stupid, but I wasn't that stupid, right? But that's how the sellout is born. That's how William O'Neill in the thumbnail was born. They caught him stealing a car. And they offered him a deal to not go to jail for stealing a car. And that's how he became Judas. That's how he became Judas. Okay? They know what you need. They know you're in a bad spot. And they know how to buy you. Why do you think all of these ball players coming from, there's a guy in Boston named Jason Tatum just signed a $314 million contract. When he was in high school, he had to go to the neighbor to eat because they didn't have no food. He had a hole in the roof of his house and they put a tarp over it to stop the rain from coming in their house. That's how poor they were. So now he's getting $314 million. They know where you come from. They know where to get you. And the hardest game is boxing. Because dudes, if you really, Sugar Ray Robinson, they asked him, would you box? He said, I would do anything I could do and not box. He said, but he was in a hard way. He was growing up poor. He was hungry. He had to eat. So he knew he could get paid by entertaining people from beating brothers behind. So he did it. And that's the same with a lot of boxers. Roberto Duran, a lot of dudes, they come from the street, poor. Bernard Hopkins from jail. And they saying, okay, if you get in this ring and beat somebody behind, we'll give you some money. Okay, put the gloves on, let's go. You got to know who your enemies are and what the system is that you're born into and how to deal with it. The word of the Most High teaches us that there's a Father, a real Father, our Father, that he has a kingdom, a real kingdom. And he's shown us it's about to take place. This whole thing's about to fall. Now, the world ain't going to show you that. The world ain't going to tell you that. The world ain't going to tell you that. They're going to tell you this is going to last forever. This is going to last for good. They're going to tell you it's going to get greater. They're going to tell you that the system is genius. And you need to be a part of it. But that's why we read the word of the Father. Yeah, we read the word because the word tells us what's really going to happen. Praise the Most High. And even as I'm saying that, there's somebody listening to me. Oh, man, he's fooled. He thinks the Bible is real. Yep. I'm convicted. Yep. I've been to the other side. Yep. I know what it's about. I've seen it. I've seen enough of it to know I don't want it. I want the Father's kingdom. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. We'll be back by the grace of the Father. Yah, the while. Sure.